Park Avenue one way without changing
There's no
anything else.
question that it's
You
gonna
haven't
impact
affected the fire
businesses
company,
very
you still have their flow going
Can Barney
out.
have his pointer back?
Park Avenue for 27.
You-
You need your plan, Barney.
Yeah, Barney, I mean, I think the one thing that we're missing here in that scenario is now you have no traffic coming into town from Park. So all the traffic is going to have to divert across to Center, and currently there's no left turn lane.
And that's why we wanted to.
And you're going to need a turn, so you're going to need to do Center.
That's why we want to start there. So, all right, let's step back. Let's say we do Steve Brown, we do Ross, parking here and here. We gain at least the spaces that we're losing on Center Street. Even before we do Center Street, we go ahead and improve, down the rail yard, down at the bank. Go ahead and get those in, because I heard that same thing. We have a net gain of 30, 40, 50 spaces.
Okay.
You're talking about a lot of spaces gained there, that potentially, especially with the bank. So plus spaces here that can offset the closer spaces for say the gun shack or anything here. So now you can work on Center Street and go ahead and get that extra lane put in. And then you fix Cross Street. Okay? With Cross Street, the only thing you're gonna mess up is this parking up in this area. And that's where you really have the net, nobody uses that space as much. That's why the Tahoe's always parked up there.
Right.
And a few others.
I'm with you.
But you're not losing a whole lot by fixing Cross Street. Now that you have Cross Street and Center Street done, then you start working on this. Keep this one way going out.
Okay.
You do not affect this flow of traffic going out. All you're gonna do is open up from the curb, which is the existing curb here, to the wall. Go ahead and put that wall in, and then get these spaces in and these spaces in. Now you just gained all those spaces in addition. Then you start working in this area, which is gonna take away spaces, but you just added. There's a way of doing a net gain all the way through the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
Businesses, you're not gonna close businesses, and you're not making parking spaces so further away. If anything, where you need those parking spaces is here.
You're not gonna be physically out on Main Street.
Yeah, this is
Right.
really gonna help downtown here.
I do like the idea, but I think Park Avenue needs to be one way. I can see it working well like that. I like that idea. I like the only thing that holds me back from the Esplanade, in my opinion, is the cost. I think it's beautiful. It's a very functional piece, but yeah, obviously the cost, there's gonna be the cost there.
Well, now cost isn't everything, all right? And yes, it's expensive, no question. But, the return on the investment to the town is the fact that if that structure, a parking structure was put in back there, then you're gonna have redevelopment all the way from, the Old Town Restaurant all the way down past Hood Street, all right? Those properties are gonna become prime real estate that people are gonna wanna finish off, because now there's parking available for them to justify the expense of investing in those properties. So you've got a great tax revenue that's coming back into the town based on that. Not only that, but back there on Hotel Street, those properties that were mentioned that are residential are prime real estate now. They're gonna go up in value because the potential for them to be converted or rebuilt into some type of mixed use is gonna be very high at that point. So that you've got mixed use back in that area, maybe even multi-use. They could be apartments, townhouses or something someday back in there. I know this stuff doesn't happen overnight, but the net gain in revenue for the town is gonna be a whole lot greater than it is right now. Not to mention the fact that these businesses are gonna go out and not come back, because there's not gonna be anybody that wants to come back in on South Main Street to invest in those properties, because they know why those people left. Okay, so now you're still dealing with vacant businesses, spaces. So is that not worth $5 million to have those those businesses fully occupied or even upgraded to some even nicer business
Are you
in
gonna
town?
have the Esplanade somehow attached to the back of these buildings?
It's got a walk, it's got a skywalks,
Okay.
skywalks that tie into
Where
it.
the alleys are now.
Where this, there
Where
aren't
the
that many
openings are
alleys,
now.
and they're pretty small. I'm
It's
not
just
sure.
two of them. It's just two, Peter.
Yeah, the access from there to Main Street is not gonna be very good.
It's very good, there's plenty of, those are walkways, they're, as long as they're 4 foot wide or more, and they are, those alleyways are gonna be big enough
It's
for
getting
that.
there.
Okay.
It's a
Is there any
slow
way that- I'm
computer.
sorry. Is there any way you could do that idea in phases? I need some, like
The bridge
something
to
to help
nowhere
me,
there.
like that.
Yeah.
means
There you
it's
go.
not
You
helping
kinda
me.
gotta get from A to B.
Right, well,
And you have to realize, we have to do this anyways.
was
Okay?
there,
It's a matter of planning it, but
On,
we have to do this anyways, as part of the construction here on the Flatiron Building.
yeah, I mean,
So there's no way around this, I mean, we can try and phase it, and talk about how we lay it out, but there's not really any way,
But the
we
question
have to
is,
do
for the
something.
Flatiron Building, when is it required to, when are we required to start?
We haven't seen the plans yet, so I can't
So
say.
then why would we even be, I mean, you're not required to do anything.
Well, actually, we have to, because the building's really not in particularly good shape.
And there are
The-
1,000 other options you can look at, but as far as, I mean, you're not required to do anything. When
I
it
guess
comes
that's
to
true.
this.
We couldn't
That's,
do nothing.
yeah, so
If
can
you-
it be,
if you do
can
that,
it be
then you know
delayed?
it does
So
take-
can that money be redirected to the Esplanade?
Can it be delayed until such a time that it does
Well,
have to?
the money would then be redirected into building the police
My
station.
point is, why
elsewhere.
would we even move forward with this if we don't even know this phase 2? We haven't even seen the designs, the costs.
Yeah.
Well, the basic design and the footprint are out there, you can see those.
Right,
The
I'm
basic
talking
layout
about
on the property
more
is there.
detailed designs and
But
costs.
what's in it, you know, what actually fits in it.
And there hasn't even been a vote on it yet, right?
We haven't seen yet, we've seen rough drafts for what's in it, but the basic layout on the property, yeah, you
And
can
that's
see
The
that.
point being, why would
this
we,
month.
why would we commit when we haven't even seen those other?
That's
Because we
I
need
just
the
wanna know-
parking anyway.
I just wanna make
The
a point
parking-
though
we
about
need the parking
businesses in
anyway.
town and coming and going.
yeah, let's
I
look.
spoke to a business owner today.
I
spoke-
talked to them all the time, I'm
I
there on Main
spoke-
Street all day.
I spoke to a business owner today who told me that she's been here for 14 years and she could count 41 businesses that have come and gone during that time.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Is that what we really want to see happening, continuing to happen in this town? We're
And we already have
That's-
empty spaces
Give
that
me-
don't even have businesses.
Yes,
That's right.
give me a resolution, I'd
We're-
love to see one.
Parking.
We've got questions back here.
Yeah,
Yep.
In the interest of time, guys, we're gonna get you guys all these questions. And then, I guess, we're not gonna have a resolution to this.
No, it's not.
No,
It's
it's
just a
just a
good
discussion.
and to get the business owners involved in the process.
I definitely want, I want you guys all to make sure you're concerned with this. And then I guess what we'll do is, we should probably move on from this. We're at 2 hours into this. Now, I don't know what's happening. It says 7:30 right there on the website, it says 7:20.
it does on the
Yeah, while we've got all of you guys
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
You're right, it does.
only there, not on the side.
You
Okay,
know what?
let's get questions.
Yeah.
Hey,
Can we hear from these people and we be quiet for a
Absolutely.
while?
yeah.
Let's hear from you.
Larry, and who else? And Ben, okay, so let's go in that order.
This is actually one of the other businesses' questions, but I thought it was a great question. The Flatiron Building, and how is this new building going to, because I hear, oh, we have to do this, we have to tear all this up. How is this gonna help the businesses downtown?
Great
Is
question.
there any benefit? Because all I've heard so far is that it's going to be for, a police station and, office space for town employees. That's what I've heard is the use, and I don't see how that brings much business downtown.
Do you want
I can-
Bob
I can
Lahr
answer
to
that.
work on that? Yeah.
So, first thing is, one of the big, benefits of the Flatiron project is not just the building, it's walkability, movability. Imagine, right now, you have a lot of walking on the west side of the street, okay, west side of Main Street. You don't have that on the east side. If you can make the east side start to thrive the same way as the west side, now you're really making an improvement to downtown. People are gonna wanna come down, they're gonna wanna be able to walk either side of the street. They don't like to come down the municipal lot, come down between the steps, go across the crosswalk, walk all the way down the Hood Street, come across the crosswalk again to get to Crying Johnny's, right? So we're looking at a direct connection, improved stairwells. You're looking at a stairwell in the corner of the municipal lot here, and on the back side, which is not shown, you'll have direct steps coming down right to Conchetta's, you walk right to Crying Johnny's. You've got less than half the distance to the municipal lot. I think that's a huge benefit for your customers.
Parking on both sides of the street.
Parallel parking.
You'll have more parking on the street.
Six
where-
more storefronts
Right, but
underneath the.
we say 2 more spaces, but right now, it's 4 of Conchetta's spaces. It would become 6 public spaces. They wouldn't necessarily be reserved to Conchetta's.
Basically, the other side of the street will have a sidewalk, a wide sidewalk with parking on it,
Right. So
which makes the street much
But if the
more
building
presentable.
got knocked down, the same could be true. If
That's
it's
true.
Yeah,
just
that's true.
Simply demolished.
Correct, that could be done with just a
So
demolish.
that's some of the site improvements.
That is true.
You'd actually gain a lot more parking spaces potentially if you just knocked the building down.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You could gain some more. That is a true statement.
So would it be cheaper to just knock the building down?
Well, of course, it's cheaper.
Okay.
And you use the money and buy the building where Shops of Yesteryear was, and make that the community center.
And the police department.
Still right there.
I just like to reflect on what I'm hearing, but, no matter how much discussion you have about what you do with the municipal parking lot, Flatiron Building, the consensus I'm hearing here is none of that really is going to be a positive on the businesses downtown on, Main Street.
And I just can't believe it.
And the other side of the coin is, I think they're saying, so please tell me what you're going to do to help ensure that there's adequate parking for the businesses that are on Main Street. And I don't hear an answer. There's no, other than what Frank says. He says, you know, you put something in the back there and recognizing you have a lot of costs. But you have to recognize, like you said, 41 businesses have turned over in 40 years. 14 years. You realize how many vacant storefronts we have downtown right now? And ask yourself this question. We have a number of restaurants, excellent restaurants. Tell me, do we have more real retail spaces in the downtown area than you've got restaurants? And are there a variety? I mean, you know, we got George's Girls, we got Ben Goo and stuff, and it really drops off after that. You have nothing downtown. And you've got to get those buildings filled, and you've got to answer the question for them, how do you fill those buildings, and how do you make their businesses thrive if you can't solve the parking problem for the people on Main Street? Not the potential people that are gonna come in on Center Street.
That's what we're saying is we
Yeah,
really
that's
want
it.
to
That, in a
grow,
nutshell,
but we gotta grow where we are right now before we can do all this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not even thriving in what we have. We're not utilizing what we have. And we're gonna throw all this money into this that may or may not even come to fruition. We're not even doing what we need to right now.
People aren't using the municipal lot. They're passing it by, and they're passing by your business.
If I could just
If-
say, I mean, municipal lot, I don't wanna speak for Bruce or for the do or die people, but basically the municipal lot is staff parking for Lorienzo's and staff parking and customer parking for a do or die. We take up 3 spots, Erie takes up, I think maybe 4 or 5, but I mean, that's what I see during the day in the municipal lot, I don't know about in the evenings.
How hard would it be to utilize the spots, like say, and I don't know about ownership and that sort of thing, but Ellie's spot? I know in Sykesville, we used to go to St. Paul's Church down there, and that lot was a wreck behind Sykesville in the back part. It wasn't paved partially, it was not really marked well. It seems like they've marked it now, they've paved it, they've marked it, and there's got to be more spaces to be had once you organize the space that already exists, same with the bank parking lot.
Well, those-
Can't you
those-
organize those pre-existing spots and make them more efficient?
Well,
At a
that,
lesser cost?
you know, both those properties are privately owned.
Will
And
they
they-
cooperate at all?
Well, they have plans to develop
Yeah.
I, I believe the town has made some effort to, try to get together with those owners.
It's a short term fix because of the property.
Right, there's things.
It isn't short term, but it's better than nothing.
Larry?
Can we get Larry's comment over here?
All these groups talking and we can't hear again.
Larry's got the floor, guys.
I mean, there was no bigger fan of the Flatiron Building than myself, because I love history, and I know that the older generation appreciates the building and looking downtown. When we bought the train station, which I thought was one of the greatest purchases we ever made, that changed the equation, because now you have another building. You got three things to put in, we talked about a community center, it's not really a need, it's something that we want, and we wanted a long time. We got a police station, and then we got a museum. I consider the museum and the police station to be needs. This phase one, I'm cool with until we start closing at Park Avenue, and my fear in looking at this is that it's already setting a course where Park Avenue gets closed, and I'm not convinced that we need to go there. And my question on the Flatiron Building at this point, where I don't view it as much of a need, because initially I thought that was our only option for a police station and a museum, but now we have the train station. My question is, and Bob, you mentioned that 6 new storefronts there, has anybody approached a developer and said, we'll give you for $1, you can have this building, and you can turn it into a moneymaker and fix our street problems and everything? Or has anybody approached the Historical Society and said, if you guys want this building, it's yours, but you gotta figure out a way to fix it, and put them on the course of grants?
Are you
and
talking
try
about
to
the
help?
Flatiron?
I'm talking
Are
about
you
the
talking
Flatiron.
about the Mount Airy Historical Society, or are you talking about something that Zach's been into?
I'm talking about the Mount Airy Historical Society, or a developer, a local developer.
Larry, I think what the problem is the building has so many bad things about it. It's an antique and it looks nice, and we all love the Flatiron Building. It's one of my favorite pictures in the world, right there.
Yep.
But I do not think without serious money being spent on it, it's gonna stand for very long. That's what we've been being told, is that correct, Barney? From an engineering standpoint.
That's the $1 million option, is fix it in place as it is.
Okay,
So my question is, if a developer is looking at that Flatiron Building and telling us, which I don't know that they have yet, that there's no money in rebuilding that building, at that point, since we do own the train station now, I think we gotta reconsider what exactly we're gonna do with the Flatiron Building. It's almost worth taking a step back.
we have not, and we haven't made that decision yet. It's gonna, whenever, Barney's,
Yes.
whenever the $300,000, engineering study and design study that Barney's put together
Right.
comes back, we'll be sitting down and making a decision.
We also have a space planning task force that's working on
Yes,
using
and-
that space.
Yeah, and that's great, but, is the task force also gonna be looking at the train station and how we utilize that one at the same time?
Well, the museum's gonna get that, it's way too small for a police station.
Way too
We've already
small for
done
a
those
community
calculations.
center.
It's way too small. The problem with the Flatiron
Not enough-
Building,
not
as
enough
it stands
parking.
now, is there's no safe access. I mean, if you're gonna go to it, you take your life into your hands.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
And-
I totally agree with that, I'm just not convinced that it's the town government's problem to go in there and fix it.
Well, we own the building, so it
We
is.
own
ours.
the building right now,
Yeah.
and the question is, at this point, do you continue down this hole of a $3 million project when potentially there's a parking project that's.
Well, I guess a tear down of it and putting nothing back is an option. I don't see the $1 million fix up as an option.
Yeah.
And the problem is because when we fix it up, we have to bring it up to code. And by the time you put an elevator and bathrooms on every floor, you have no building, because it's not very big inside.
I'm just really
You're left
curious
with
what would
40%
happen if the town went
Yeah.
to a developer and said, we'll give you this building
It's
for
an
$1.
interesting,
But
option.
I can't imagine anybody wanting it, because
And require
we
a
calculate
bathroom.
$1 million just to make it survivable.
But they might not want it, but they might
And-
just want it,
and they have no
then they
parking
can
and
take care of
Get in
it.
and out of it safely. I mean, it's dangerous. Frankly, I'm worried that a truck is gonna accidentally hit the side of it, it's gonna topple into it.
I'm worried that
Yeah,
we're losing.
I mean, it's close.
We have two more questions. We have two more questions. I'll just throw this out here.
Yeah.
And the EDC has kind of talked about this, and I don't know,
Yeah.
there's not a big discussion on this. Is it necessary for the police department to be downtown? Could they be anywhere else?
I think that's a primary thing. I think we need to have a police station somewhere in downtown.
I don't think they
see
need to
it.
be downtown. That's
Well,
prime-
I mean,
prime
we're
real
ta-
I think
estate.
we wanna have them accessible to town hall and everything else.
They
They
can be
can be
accessible,
accessible.
that's what their job is.
What?
To be accessible, that's why they got cars.
Why couldn't they be out where the facilities buildings are? That's not that far away from downtown.
About some of those locations, and the police don't like some of those locations due to access to the rest of town.
I don't think being on Main Street is the best place for them to be.
But
For them to get easy access, in and out, where they need to go
Very
quickly.
inefficient for them to get out and get anywhere. They
I
now
don't
moved
think-
out, they're out by the
You get on
DMV.
27 like the fire department.
It's not the highest use of space. It's not the highest use, that's my own personal opinion. The EDC, we kind of talked about that, even for an industrial park, I mean, like, you know.
Well, actually, we looked at the industrial park, but the problem is they get trapped on the other side of 27, and when there's a parade, or there's anything going on at 27, they can't get to the rest of town. So the police said, we can't do that, and I was like, when the police say, you really don't wanna do that, I mean, I'm not a policeman, but I
Yeah.
take their advice.
What about that?
Fire department asked
Yeah.
us to close Park Avenue.
Somebody who owns
No one's
that.
there, guys.
Well, actually, the fire department looked at this
Yeah.
new plan and said, oh, that's okay, that's fine.
Not all the
What
fire
about the old Dennis kitchens and baths? Why
Where
couldn't,
do we go with it?
the old Dennis kitchens and bath, the old, that
For the
property?
police.
For the police.
Well, that's privately owned.
Okay, well, would he
Yeah.
sell it?
Mine's quick.
There's Ben right here, and then you're.
I can ask him.
But if I can answer that one, that's just about, we looked at purchasing that property when it came up before. And there were so many issues with it that we decided it was too big of a gamble to buy it. Which property?
What kind of
Dennis
issues?
Kitchens and Baths.
10
South Main. We seriously looked at that when it came on the market, and there were too many issues for us to wanna go there.
But that wasn't for this use.
It was for a different use
For a
though,
different
right?
use.
Okay, Ben.
What? No, this is not a question, it's a statement. For the EDC, if the EDC could maybe just discuss amongst themselves, if it were a zero-sum option where there's $4 million to be spent, would the EDC prefer to see that spent on, let's just say, a parking option like the Esplanade, or a police station and town offices for town hall? Because I think that really, there's a limited amount of resources in the town. Both of these are expensive projects. I think the EDC is here to be the town's North Star for what's going to please the businesses of Mount Airy. I'm a business owner as well as a building owner, as well as a resident, so I think that the EDC's job is really, figure out like what is going to be the best benefit for the businesses. And I think that you all really ought to, discuss, come to the town council and speak collectively for the business people who you've been hearing from tonight to say, we think that with the limited resources, A is better than B, or B is better than A. Because I think that might, people who read the Mount Airy Messenger, which, you could probably count them on a few hands, as well as people who, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Don't quote him on that.
Okay, okay.
They don't read the paper anymore.
Seriously, like, the people that are in the know are a very limited group of people, so they hear community center, they hear police department, they hear closure of Park Avenue, but no one, it's a small group of people that are really, concerned about this, and I think the businesses kind of ought to be at the top of that list. And so therefore, I think if the EDC is making a recommendation, it ought
I
to
think on our next meeting, what I will have is, one of our agenda items will be that, let's make an EDC stand as to what we see as best, right?
Well, the town won't listen to that, because we said the town hall should not be right here in the middle of the business community. It should be somewhere else, turn this into like it used to
If
be.
at first you don't
The grocery
succeed,
store.
try.
Exactly, I agree with that.
Well, the problem was the county owned this building, they gave it to us for $1 if we agreed to fix it up and make it town hall.
Sell it for $2 and double your money.
Simple economics.
If we're gonna go to Ben, do it,
Yeah.
move on unless there's something really pressing from that standpoint. I appreciate everyone, Ben.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to say thanks to Frank for really trying. I've been here 40 years. When I Dorothy Gosnell and I came to town hall, and we've been fighting for parking for 40 years.
Yeah, you have.
The Flatiron Building, frankly, if it's in that bad a shape, I say take it down, forget it. Because we're saying we're putting 6 more retail places in the bottom. Yeah, we can't park now, where are they gonna park?
Frank, I mean,
Where they gonna
Ben, I
park?
don't wanna see that, that's not my goal.
Because I didn't think
I
the
don't
town was
think
in the
it's
rental
big enough
business
for 6
anyway.
more
Yeah,
retail
I agree.
Because that
We
would just
can't
be
fill the
town
retail
bringing
spaces
business
that
in
we
on
have
his
now.
business already
So we
here.
need to
I
worry
agree,
about
Ben,
that first.
I agree 100%.
Okay, Ben, thank you. So I'd just like to say something because I heard about value of land and buildings. So for those that can remember, the old fire hall, which is where Jimmy grew up, now, you know, Crying Johnny's is there and Conchetta's is there and the upper deck. Well, so that area, that rebuilt, remodeled, and that primarily has success because they put in a big parking lot right next to it. Okay? Now, the point I'm trying to make is that, you know, Lou Dixon's hardware store down here at the corner, now the thrift shop, the little Betty Lou store, which has just moved out, the vacant lot next to it that's been vacant forever. The hotel building is not being used anywhere to its capacity. And it's all due to the fact that there is no parking there. I mean, there's about 4 spaces along the street for all of that commercial real estate to use. So we're just fooling ourselves to think that we're going to attract anything down on that end of South Main unless we have parking at that location. Period.
Correct, that's why I like Frank Iliano's plan, because it expands on the parking.
I'm not talking, that's over on the other side of the road, Peter. You need something there. The reason that the upper deck and Crying Johnny's and that those businesses are doing well because they have a nice parking lot right next door, not somewhere where you got to walk around and.
Yeah, because the problem is, and if we build this, half the people go to the thrift shop, you're supposed to park in the hotel parking lot.
They
Park
park
there.
They
So
park
when
there.
my customers come, or her customers come, they didn't know where to park.
Well,
So it's really a vicious cycle,
yeah.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It really
so
is.
we need
We need
parking,
parking on the other
we
side.
need parking on this side of the street, period.
What about the
I
big
think-
lot? You know, why not put a, at least I haven't seen this come back from the parking group, but why not put a high-rise in the vacant space between Betty Lou's and the hotel building?
It's not big enough by itself. Something would have to go to make it big enough to utilize that space
You can't do
properly.
like an entrance, a top entrance there and a bottom entrance on the
Yeah, you
bottom?
can.
I thought we were gonna get like 75 spaces maybe.
No, you can't get near that. No,
Really?
you wouldn't get that
I
total,
bet.
probably. But there again,
Space there.
that's where a professional designer comes
Who
in.
owns that? Who
My-
owns that?
But they're taking it anyways for the Esplanade. They're taking it anyways for the Esplanade.
The lot?
The Esplanade, yeah, the Esplanade's built on top of that lot.
No.
No.
The storefront area is still there for
No, but
whatever.
the parking lot, we're talking about the parking lot
Yeah,
in the
just
back.
the
Oh.
parking lot where he
The
puts,
Esplanade
York
would
puts
take-
all his cars.
The Esplanade would require taking all of that parking lot.
The Esplanade would be built over it. He would still have most of his spaces.
Oh, okay, all right.
Right.
Yes.
We'd have to take the lot. So we'd be taking the lot anyways.
So we're to move forward from here. This is
Some
what
of
we'll
it,
do
yeah.
is, Ben, very good point. We will make a decision from an EDC standpoint as to where we think is best as far as that's concerned. And I appreciate how everyone's interested. This is great. And, I know that we're all working all these hours, running our businesses, and we may not hear this. And that's what I really appreciate, that dedication and of your time with that. And if you guys all have any other like ideas from that standpoint, please feel free to call Melissa. I'll just call you at your place of business. Call me anytime. I'm better with, call me and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess our contact information, emails are on
emails
the
are there.
website. You can-
My phone number is 301
They're not.
What's your address?
Emails are on the website.
Like
Like a
But the reality of that is, so like, we have an ideas from that standpoint. And, you know, and what I
Definitely in
do
the new
like about
site,
this is
we can
this
do that.
was at least constructive, because if it wasn't constructive, you know, there wouldn't be anyone here and the downtown wouldn't exist, right? We need the downtown to continue to exist, right? And at least now, I feel like we have a good, consensus that, yes, we do have a parking problem. We're at step one, right? Step two is let's solve the parking problem, right? You guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whoever's responsible for getting so many business owners here tonight, good job to whoever.
Frank and Donna Marie.
Great job, guys. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Frank.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you all.
Really just a tear down.
Good job.
You know, basically put like a plaza in there, you can still push yourself back, you can still have the parking, you can have the sidewalk on that side of the street. You just don't put a building.
Utilize the money.
And when you think about it, but yeah, of course.
Well, I don't want retail, my plan that I've been pushing for is basically the bottom for the base of Main Street is, you know, looks like retail space, but it's our community space. That's where we have our art show. We have downtown event, let's say, we have to put up a weather bag, that's what goes inside, and it opens on the main street. My last presentation, the art side,
Appreciate your input.
I want to do the logo.
Says, as a whole, the business community wants X. If just that, make it an Mount Airy messenger, make it to a Facebook page or two, and work its way out. I think that in itself, because you're talking about 50 people that want to see the building something else, and 50 people that want to see it exactly as it is. You're not talking about thousands. Yeah, I mean, and I think the EDC's done a good job of kind of bringing this on.
I really think it
As with everything, the council members here that are just I just like to do ideas just because they're already it would just be nice to hear the alternative. Well, it's changed purposes every month, you know, so, and until the town is a police force, it was like a community center slash offices slash space retail, whatever. Then the police department kind of made its way up to the top. And Chairman helped out, you know, all the buildings, the police department.
I think it's low cost existing businesses and new business people. I think it's all of those things, and I think it's a kick-ass, dynamic program that of different stuff that's going on that's pulling, it's constantly pulling people
All right, guys, we're going into it. Here we go. So anyway, we're starting. Mike is staying up there, and he's running the show. I like that. I like that.
I think he left.
Yes.
We were like.
Yeah, his time's up.
Only because we did it one time. Right. It was because of me. You only missed my wonderful staff report. That was it. And you got a copy of it. You have a copy of it.
No, you should have said something. Come on.
That's very impressive.
All right, so guys, want to call this order now? This is crazy. Bill, that's one of the items I do. Hey, Bill?
Oh, yeah.
I do want to put that on, like, we need to make a nice consensus, this is what we like.
Actually, I don't think that's the right answer for prospect.
So you can do it right, Jack.
I think prospect should be ordered to come through all the
Appreciate you doing it.
right? And Center Street should be
Trade me
moved
places.
over so that they line up and create the intersection.
Trade me places.
I haven't said that for a long time.
This one's on backlit. Now that I've got it, I got it for Christmas, and I got it for Christmas. I got you. I was kind of like, now that I've got it, my boss has a different one. Huh? And he has his is losing. The only reason why I wanted this was they said the connections were better because we always are. You have that on yours? See, I'm kind of wishing I got a different one now. Because I'm kind of wishing I had the backlit. The backlit would be nice. And this one, my boss is hard. It's like got a harder bottom, so you can hold it on your lap. This is kind of hard to sit tight on your lap.
I'll bring up one when I fall. All right, guys, so we're going to do,
Andrew.
start off with roll call.
Come on, Andrew. Get this right. We're under control.
Start off with roll call. That's Andrew.
Come on.
So we're gonna, you know, in the interest of time, we're gonna both do this as much as we can. Hey, Bob. All right, guys, we're starting in on things, guys. Here we go. All right, good deal. Thank you all for coming. Please feel free to stay.
No, it's public.
Okay, so here we go. We're gonna talk about downtown parking discussion. We put that to bed. Approval of minutes that were sent out to us, email. They did that. Staff report's good. Old business
Done.
discussion. All right, look now. This is my hot topic. Discussion
And
of the logo.
So look in your packet.
Okay. Can you hand me one of those there?
This is actually closer to the color as well. I made it.
He doesn't have this.
Oh,
I'll share it with him. I'll share it with him.
I'm
Sure, Sean.
sorry.
So,
He came in late, you know.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So,
We need to change everything. That's right.
just a quick recap. It was taken to the council
Yes.
this month
Yes.
for their final thoughts. And like we've kind of established already, it's taken to the council as a courtesy.
Right.
We want to work with the council. They're the ones representing the town, as well as here, this board. But again, comments are comments, and overall, they did like the proposal.
Good.
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
With comments. So the comments, also suggested by Bob and I, as we're working on the website, thinking it really needs Maryland in there somewhere. We feel strongly about this. The council did agree. A lot of what we see when people take the logo, well, that was a huge discussion. Regardless, when we decided to leave it off, I think Mike was the one who said it needs to be on there. I don't know which side you were on, but this is the new thought proposed to keep that in there. And their other thought was to physically put a heart somewhere in the logo. And I've received very mixed comments on the heart in itself. So I sort of this was my personal input on how we could achieve these goals. And the best way I thought was to put it into that little dash under mount. If we wanted the heart, we do have it written on there. So I'll let you guys talk. What
Okay,
do
so
you
here we
think?
go. This is what we're gonna do, because this is our final three, basically, is what we're gonna choose out of. A, B, and C just listed out on there. Okay,
Take
so
a
let's.
vote.
I say we just bang out a vote and just get done with this. 'Cause I want to put this to bed so
I
bad.
think we're only talking about A, B. C is a separate item because we always had the.
Yeah, just where the Maryland,
lettering.
this is where the Maryland position.
Yeah, depending on the application.
Well, the Maryland position is different in C. See where
I
the-
would suggest we
I see
could
where it
get.
is, but I think that would only be used if you were using that decal.
I think B and C are the same, for my.
Well, the only thing is the position of Maryland, that's the only thing.
Right, and it's, cause you
We
really
could
can't
get
fit it.
the oval around the top two if we wanted.
Okay. So you can make B look like
Yes.
C, just.
Okay, who's in pick?
Before you jump into this word of caution, I don't think the logo is supported by a lot of people in that area, at least the people I've run into. And, just to give you an example, the mayor had asked, my wife take a look at it. And so she took a look at it, and she told the mayor the other day, at a different meeting, she said, well, it's nondescript, because it could be anybody's logo. And a matter of fact, she looked up on Google Mount Airy logo. And you know what's the closest to? A place called Mount Airy Casino. It's vanilla. And so the opinion seems to be from some people that what is there that makes that logo represent Mount Airy and gives some distinction from Mount Airy, Pennsylvania, Mount Airy, North Carolina, Mount Airy Casino, Mount Airy Bar, Mount Airy Grill, Mount Airy, I mean, you name it. When she did that, the logos were all over the place. And, this just could have been anybody. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Response. I totally appreciate that. My only issue with this is like, I mean, this horse, we've been beating this horse to.
Well,
and it's been like 2 years now, and I want a logo.
I can answer your question too.
I'm gonna be the voice of opposition here. I've never liked these logos, okay, and Melissa knows that, and I sort of told a little white one to the council members the other night, told them it was beginning to grow on me, and I was gonna have to see a doctor about that. But this does not say Mount Airy to me. It doesn't.
It's okay. I never loved
Okay,
them
so what
either.
do? And listen, I have no problem. We now.
I got an idea.
Melissa and Missy.
I got a good idea. Melissa and I have talked about this. You have a
Is my eye twitching? Just kidding.
have a logo contest. And several graphic artists in the town have talked to me and said, this is juvenile.
How much money?
I also heard a lot of positive comments on this logo. Everything's gonna be controversial. Everything's
$500? Not everyone likes
$1,200. There's a lot of logos. There's sort of, in my mind, my simple mind, you can have a brand mark, which is what Missy was attempting to get us to figure out what we wanted to show, and
That's what the Ferris wheel was for.
you can have a very artistic, detailed logo. I'm adding 3. Or you can do your simple, basic icon, so to speak, which is what I think we have here. This is something through our advertisements and our message, consistent through our advertisements, people will associate with Mount Airy. That's what you get with, I'm gonna call you out, your chiropractic. Do you have a back or a spine in your logo?
I got a circle in there. Just
A circle.
I don't have a back.
Could you argue that could be used for Mount Airy Casino? Could it, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, but people recognize your logo because you use it on everything. You've branded that to be your business. So it's really up to our consistency to use it in the context of our photos, our events. So that's where I'm hoping that it's not me making decisions. This is why we come to the board to talk through these things. But it's not a total loss, in my opinion. It is a rebranding, so to speak, in that we will have our seal, which is on the podium there for use, but it gives us another fresh option for people to recognize us.
Now, so the question
It's my
becomes now:
speech.
do we go back to Missy and spend another $1,200?
No.
Hell no.
No.
This is like, and honestly, I mean, the logo. My term is done in June, and I know that I will not have a logo done by then. And I'm not trying to rush this. I don't want to rush it because it's going to be the future. But I thought we all liked it at the one thing I thought was going to be presented. So I can appreciate both sides. I think it's a clean logo. I guess
It'll look great on a T-shirt.
it would look great. Yeah, but I just wonder what do we do from here? So what do we do from here? A competition? That's one thing we can do. We can hire five or logo
I would
works.
hire nobody.
No hiring.
No hiring. We
Just
could-
get a
I just-
competition.
We spent $1,200 and what we got is really not what we should have got.
Okay, well, and the other thing is, at this stage of the game, so what do we do? I'm not a graphic
You s-
artist, I don't.
Well, first of all, we paid for this, so I think we should take it, and whether we decide to use it or not, we paid for it.
Correct. Well, it's
So-
definitely ours.
It's
It's
ours.
ours.
And put them down in that caboose and sell
if
them.
we do
I
a
like this,
competition-
I like the logo, but not as a logo that goes on our sales, on our EDC, or
On our
anybody.
official
Manzo wants to
marketing
use it. I don't think it's.
pieces.
What would you, Rick?
You don't think Mamsel will want to use it?
I agree with Bob, and I
This.
think at one point in time, it came up a year or so ago about doing a contest. And you should have put out, say, $300-400 prize.
Right.
Gone out there, done the thing, got all the submissions, and then boiled down to what you thought, was closest to what you wanted to do, and that's the winner. You might tweak it.
And if you're gonna
But
put,
you failed to get input across the board from various points of view, and what you end up with is you spend a year, you spend money, and you really got something that may not quite make it. I also point out, I pointed this out in the town council meeting. The other part of this whole thing is whatever you agree upon, you need to have a process that guarantees that you retain control as the town of Mount Airy over that
Yes.
logo. Because you mentioned T-shirts, yeah, you wanna print T-shirts, but by golly, I'm gonna print T-shirts because on your logo, and I'm gonna sell them for a profit. You got.
Personally-
Are you gonna cover that
you gotta
as
copyright it or something.
town council, legal, but you need to have a package that says, this is who owns it, this is how it's used, and this is how we got it.
Style guide.
So listen, I understand all this, and I got two, Dick and Bob here, but honestly, I like the clean lines, I like the sharp look. And I may not have felt that way the first time I looked at it, but when I began to go through the clutter, right, the clutter that we were dealing with, the Ferris wheel, trying to get the train
you
and
got the
all
train
that,
and all
trying
the
to
tracks.
get the heart, nothing against the heart, but when we went through all that, right, like the contest, and we saw all these different options, when I saw these clean, sharp lines, I said, I kinda like that.
So the question becomes, so what do we do now? We scrap this or we make a vote? Now, the question, and this is my big, who is the final determinant of the logo? I thought it was us. So that's why I thought it was gonna go to council as, this is the logo. That's why I thought it went to the logo. And now we're backtracking. I'm not trying to be controversial about this, but it's just like, I wanna put this to bed so bad. Because we've been working on this. Donna, where you said you've been working on this, how long you been with us now? 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
Too long.
March
So like,
2015.
the more cooks we get in the kitchen, the more problem we're gonna have, if you ask me. We're gonna have, that's exactly, so
Yeah.
my opinion of this is, which one of it, I like it, I like B as a person.
I like B,
Agreed.
and I don't.
Would you like to see
Hard
B,
except for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
That's right.
would you like B to represent us?
Well, I think we agreed on something similar to B and C.
Yeah.
It was B if it was just on a white background, and it was
See, if we do it on,
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'd like to see us continue with that, but make B the middle part. So if we had B and then you made it white and then put the red around it, it would have to be a little bit of a larger oval.
I see. So in other words, make
B with an O.
make B, and
That-
then and that would be it. And
Yes.
You would either put an oval around it or not.
Yes.
Okay. I'm cool with that.
So like, is she still giving us like proofs? Like, can we go back to her? Is she still cool with everything?
My idea with this, because I don't have the programming to take what she gave me, and basically it's a drawing file how it was her handwriting, her designer's handwriting. So I like did picture editing magic, but it's not the best quality that it can be. So I was gonna ask her if she would,
Stick at Maryland.
just for no cost, just put a Maryland in there exactly how we want it and elongate the Y.
Did you put the Maryland yourself?
I did.
So like, that, if you ask, like, yeah, like, so maybe she should look at that and say, the Maryland should be a different script, you know, or more like the script that's written in the heart of it.
Right. Right.
I don't like
I mean, I hate to do this, but I think we're gonna keep on going down the same road.
one of these, but
Yeah, I think at this point, from what I gathered from the town council, I didn't hear much from the council on moving forward, but the mayor said, get it completed.
Maryland.
At this
Maryland
level.
does the one thing
Yeah, it
that
does.
pretty much everywhere.
Okay, so I think if we need to talk to Missy and.
I think she'd be willing to do that
Say,
for
listen,
us.
can we put Maryland there? And the only critique I have on B is, I think the Maryland script should be more like the script of the heart of Henry.
Agreed.
That's the only thing I see.
I like it, but I'm biased because I created it.
But you know, you're bringing it down to the road.
I don't know.
Well, so that's got.
So maybe you should share that. So Frank thinks that the heart adds a feminine side, and that could be a good thing.
Block lettering, similar to the heart of the Fort County community lettering.
The heart
So that
ties
it
together with
doesn't-
the word heart.
So it
Larry,
doesn't
we were talking about
interfere
this.
with the
You
cursor.
commented on this.
Okay.
Let me ask you something, we put it up for the EDC meeting, right? For the business card exchange, we put that up there, right?
No.
We did the heart of the Fort County community.
Just the
last-
motto, yes.
We did it last year, okay, so we're
No,
still.
that was
Just the tagline.
just a tagline.
We did
We
that.
didn't have the logo yet at that point.
So you realize that's a year ago, a year and a month ago.
Let's not dwell on
I
that.
wanna put this to bed, I mean,
Let's not
I,
dwell.
I spent this afternoon with a marketing lady who, you know, was critiquing and consulting with me on my advertising, and, I've kinda really liked my, my Green Living Homes website and the logo that was created for it. I thought it was really pretty doggone good. Well, she was going over all that, and basically she was telling me that, you know, I need to attract the female side more, and that a lot of things in my web site is masculine, too masculine, and I need to be a little more feminine. So I've come out with my feminine
Leaves.
side here right now, and
Flowers and leaves.
the heart up here in this
Human
first
rights
part
are-
is not overpowering. It's just big enough to tie in with the statement that's there, and maybe it would attract the shoppers that would wanna come down to Mount Airy and do business down here because of that. So it adds a little more feminine side to it. Well, that's what I learned today.
You have a heart in
Sorry
your-
about
That's
that.
so funny.
No, but he's one. No, I'm
You
just
guys
kidding.
think else you
You're not
wanna
putting
tell us,
heart in
Frank?
yours, you're testing in yours.
Well, you guys don't realize what's happening after we get this logo nailed down. I'm paying for all of us to go down to Bullets. We're getting tattoos.
Oh!
So if you want to have on your arm, that's a good time.
Well, that wasn't where I was gonna put it.
Even you.
So now you're thinking different of the heart, right? So, all right. Let's make a motion here. I think we need to make a motion.
We do, I think
I
this
think
is
we're gonna keep on
beyond
having-
wasting our time.
It is beyond, and so I make the motion that we accept B with changing the lettering of Maryland to more matching the heart of the Fort County community.
I think it's gonna get lost.
We can look at it,
With the change of font.
Yeah.
And if we stay with the.
You talking about coloring too, or just the font
Just the
change?
font.
Okay.
To make it more of the same as.
Yeah, something
as-
similar, because we're bringing in Times New Roman, which is very formal.
Actually, it wasn't, but it's similar.
I think if you make it more of the same,
Yeah,
it's gonna get lost. It's gonna just.
If you do.
All right,
It
well,
has-
So if you take
yeah.
it, what if you take it and make it the gray, like the heart of the four counties?
Yeah,
Then it sticks out a little bit
I
more
think a
than the
different, I think
okay,
that
so
might
let me
not
ask, are
be
you
a
guys
bad
cool with
idea.
B as it sits?
I'm good with B.
All right, then
Yes.
I'm good with this.
I'm good with B too.
What if
All right, let's
you-
make
yeah,
a
I like
vote.
that idea.
Second,
Let's make, all right, second, all right, so I'm making a motion that we stick with B the way it sits. I got a second?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Who's opposed?
The heart.
There's three.
Those three.
Oh.
The only thing I'm
So
saying
we
is just
we
make
actually have a
Was
split.
that
this
3
year.
or 4?
Let's make it Maryland gray.
Just make it gray.
I think
That's all
that
I'm
would be
saying.
good.
Make it the same font as the Heart of the Four Cashews.
And would that bring you guys online?
That would bring
Yep.
me into
Done.
Be in.
Same font?
I don't know.
House of
I
cards, let's
don't
get it
know.
done.
Let's get it done.
That's fine, compromise.
All
I'm
right,
not
so-
anti, but I'm not for
For what?
the
No,
gray.
it does delineate from that red that you get from the
I
map
think
with
it's
the Y.
because it's
And it
just
balances
all
the two
red.
sides out a little bit.
Yeah, I like that.
Get the feng shui a little bit.
I like that.
Okay, well,
It's your-
first
it's your
motion failed. so
First motion
let's-
failed, second motion is, we're accepting B as it lays, changing Maryland to the gray color that the verbiage of Heart of the Four County Community is.
I'll second again.
Awesome.
Alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, sides? Two people are opposed. I think we're moving forward with this.
Frank
guys.
wants the heart.
So just change the gray.
You guys,
With that person.
you guys do realize,
If it hadn't been for that.
Because part of me was saying like Maryland, like there's red in Maryland, so
Frank,
people
I'm
would have.
starting to worry. I voted you.
Boo hoo.
oh yeah. Please,
I
Dave.
think you might get your Esplanade after all.
We're the only. I should share.
Double the parking.
Yeah,
Usually,
Then we're gonna use this.
The town has to be submitted by an economic development, group, i.e. the commission. So you actually would have to approve that, and also it would, whatever it extent, it would impact your fiscal, 18 budget. So, that, you're just not part of taking part in all of this. You are the body that signs it and submits it.
So what we're saying is we were responsible for $5,000 of that, the grant we're looking for is 10,000. So EDC would be 5,000, Melissa?
I'm sorry. We switched to the grant already.
I'm sorry.
No,
I know.
I'm lost. Where did you start?
talking about the logo for a minute, it scared me.
And so I didn't want to stick around, anymore, so I just.
No.
Really?
So you just pushed it along, right to
Come
what
on,
you
we're
need to get
in
to.
this is gonna be 11:30 time we're gonna finish this. You guys stick around.
Fun all at once.
Explain it
I didn't
a
know
little
what
bit
you were talking
slower,
about.
maybe.
I'm sorry.
So what he's saying is, in order to apply for the Marbidco grant,
Which
Which
is
is-
Farmers market related.
yeah, for the farmer's market, and it's a branding and marketing campaign. In order to do that, for Marbidco, it's gotta come from an economic development office. So we could have tried to send it up to Carroll County, but, what I was saying is I believe it should come from Mount Airy, because we're a four-county market. We promote that four-county. And Carroll County might, even though their markets are all, different counties, we're promoting that four-county aspect. So, we're a two-county town, that's what I'm.
So you would want us to apply for that grant, right?
Yeah.
And from an application standpoint, why wouldn't we, right? Because it's a
Right,
grant anyway.
Yes,
And what
yes.
we're doing is
Right.
we're reaching out, like we're doing I was telling you,
Yes, with
Andrew,
farm-
we're gonna do the mailing,
Yeah, good.
which reaches out to every household
And
in,
21771.
Mount Airy, zip code, 21771, so that pulls more of the population in.
Who's the grant from?
That's who she said.
Marbidco, Maryland Agricultural.
Would you be submitting the grant?
I've already written it. and I'm
Ashley's
working on it.
working
so
on a
let's-
draft.
I'd like to make a motion to submit it, for,
And you
with
are
our
where it's
name.
With our
5,000
name.
that we are pledging towards the grant. It's not just getting 5,000 from the state.
It's a
You need
national.
to
I'm
match
gonna
it.
have to write it into the
Oh, they're
budget
matching
for
it.
$5,000.
And that would be for our fiscal year of,
Do we need to
18.
do a resolution to the town council?
So what it'll do
It doesn't
is
say in the
it'll
grant we
show
have
up
to.
in
I don't know
July.
what your procedure is.
Well, frankly, I think it's worth it,
Yeah.
seeing all the businesses they bring downtown on
That's
farmers
true.
market days.
All those in favor of applying for that grant, realizing we're gonna have to come up with $5,000 budget item.
That's fine.
Right.
Okay. And we're doubling our money. It's,
And then we'll administer that grant to
That's
the
fine.
market.
all right, so
That's how it would.
all those in favor of applying for the grant?
I'll second the motion.
Yes,
Yeah.
good, you second the motion? Okay, I got you, good, second, I didn't know we were gonna get a second. Second the motion, all those in favor, aye. Anyone opposed? There's no brainer.
3 times in a row.
Now, Dick, you still have to stick around here now. We're getting tattoos after this, so you're gonna have a big one on the back of your arm.
We still need your summary, don't forget.
Alright, so,
We need your
Ma'am's a summary.
budget.
You have it with you? That'll be good.
Shaky down.
okay, so, let's go for business incentives for matter of discussion for, inclusion FY, for the town budget. We have some time on the town budget, obviously, so can we table that?
Yes.
Yes, and actually Melissa has a lot of good ideas. and
I'm-
she's-
Can we table that?
I'm
until next
putting
time?
in, just so you're aware,
Yeah, that's fine.
as a placeholder, cause the mayor wants the numbers by February.
Okay.
The $15,000, for the mom and pop grant.
Gotcha, is that the only, so we're identical from last year, from this year? fiscal year,
Exactly.
But we're just adding the $15,000 for the mom and pop grant.
Yes.
Yes.
This has nothing to do with the grant, the Marbitco grant. This is the mom and pop grant that we've been working
Yeah,
through.
but
We have to add
I'm saying the
$5,000
budget.
for that.
It's gonna be a
Yes.
separate line. item.
Right.
Yes. Farmer's market will be its own line item. There's gonna be the, I guess I'll probably, it'll either be the mom and pop grant or the incentives line
We're
item.
looking at a net increase of $20,000 is what we did that previous year.
Yes.
We might as well ask for it, and that's what we should do.
And we have all the information at the table so that Melissa and I can fight for those dollars.
Good.
That they're not just, $20,000 that's out there, $15,000 that's out there.
So you,
That,
that,
we
Right.
actually have
There
a
might be-
purpose and a need for that.
Right. There might be a few changes. I want to increase our travel funding for traveling
Yeah,
back and
I'd
forth
like
to
to go
these
on some
meetings. So there's a few like academic development department things that we'll be adding into.
but we can,
But I wanna make sure
like we've done before, ask for more, better to ask for
Yes.
more, we can always shave off some things if we need to. But
Yes.
include those two grants, right?
Yes.
The Mark Vico and the, mom and pop.
And what I'd
Along
like
the
us to
same-
do.
Along the same item, the one thing that we do have on the table at the council now, that we'll have a public meeting and it comes up for a vote, is the $20,000 for the, moving the pole out there.
Okay.
Now, if anybody's been up there lately, the building's gone,
Yeah,
the
I
fence
saw
is
the
there,
fence.
and that freaking pole looks like it's in the middle of the road.
And that space looks better than what it did.
Well, and then I took the mayor up there, I was riding around buying coffee one morning, I took him up there, and we looked down at sight lines, and those two poles, they take you out until you're out in traffic.
Into regular boulevard.
Right, so he's on board with it, and that's up for a vote this week, I believe, or this month, I believe, next month, February.
And then, just one last thought for that. I have a PowerPoint thing that you guys can take a look at. We won't go through it tonight. It's really tiny, but it's the Hagerstown Revolving Loan Program, which we've been introduced before to this body. And I can email it to you, and you can click on the links. But this is just something I want us to just start looking into and seeing. Obviously, the grant I see as getting our foot in the water, but we would be talking maybe more of an impact. The town putting in an investment of more, like $50,000 to $100,000, and then really trying to have this wonderful program that we could maybe get money from the state to match or to do things like that. So that's sort of where that is. Take a look at that.
Somebody help me to email it out.
Yes, I
Click on the
definitely
links.
will, because this is too tiny. And then in one of the slides, you can actually click on the program, like it'll take you to another link, and it'll get the program guidelines up as well. Okay.
So we're moving on to discussion of, professional development courses suitable for local businesses. That's gonna be done through, is it through Carroll County or Frederick County?
Carol and Frederick, what?
Like community college?
So good question. Right now,
Just Carroll, right?
it's actually, I've only reached out to Frederick County
And are they?
so far, and there's 3 who have already responded back and said, yes, we want to be involved.
Good.
And the prices are not bad.
Not
So,
bad being what?
no cost or $30 an hour. So we have $2,000, and what I'd like to do is,
No cost sounds good.
it's kind of, it's a lofty goal in my mind from going from 0 to 100 in a way. I'd like to do March through June, every Tuesday of every week, 8 a.m. to 9:30. So it's consistent. People won't forget, is it this week, is it next week? and there's always gonna be a class here in the morning. We'll have a little breakfast, light breakfast. I'm thinking Conchetta's, Old Town, we can find something, around town. Alternate around.
We'll pay, let's pay for their meals.
Yeah, we should be able to cover it, and then my idea is to make it something unique where it can be an opportunity for them to have networking, social, as well as getting something out of it. So,
That's a great idea, Melissa. Good job.
and the chamber, I want to partner with them because they also have $2,000. So I know Ellie Bondi is their leader with the professional development. So I've already worked with her on a lot of Main Street things. So I'm keeping her in the loop. And as soon as I get a good list of classes, I'll shoot it out to you guys just so you can see where we're at. And this is the first time we've tried it in a while. So we can't go wrong, in my opinion.
It'd be held here, right?
Yes.
Because if not, that money just gets. I think
So we don't need to rent a
yeah,
space.
I mean, it'd be great to send the list out. I mean, there's a lot of great things that people can learn from marketing to QuickBooks to all those type of things. I mean,
Yes.
I think that's great. I mean, especially, and that's just an added benefit to being, the only thing I think we have to be very aggressive about with that is marketing to the existing businesses and they know what's happening. And I
Yes.
think your timing's perfect.
Yes.
So that's my opinion, that we can get that done.
Nice job, Melissa. I think that's great.
Thank you. I'm proud to finally have sat down and gotten this thought out.
So we're gonna move on to, we're gonna talk about the Flatiron Building Containment.
Time out. On the item for the business incentives for Mount Airy discussion.
Did I pass right over? I'm sorry.
Well, what I thought part of what we would also talk about is the email that Melissa sent out with the questions for the business
Right, okay,
community.
gotcha.
And what their concerns are, so I think that's where it's appropriate to talk about that. So I think we ought to talk about that.
I could actually pull up some of the responses on here. If you want to look at some of the responses we got already, or if you want to, we gave them a date of a week. So I could send it out via email or however we want to do it. It did. We got 11 responses by 2 p.m. today, and it was sent out to 54 people. So it's 20%.
Okay.
We'd like to see them.
I'd like to see.
Well, that
Those
was
are the
that was question
overachievers.
Did we ever add that question that you added, right?
Those are the touch email ones.
It did get added.
I think they're the ones that don't have any parking. That'd be nothing.
So, well, I think, so we don't have a
Because there was no
full,
parking.
we don't have a full database of all the answers yet.
Ooh, I would hope that we'll get more throughout the week.
Do you wanna pull up what we have?
I would like to,
Absolutely. Bring it
Okay.
up, bring it up, absolutely.
Bring it on.
because I think you guys will find them helpful.
Entertaining?
Yes. Well,
Hopefully entertaining.
no more than our meeting tonight. And this computer's
He needs to
moving
feel better
very
about
slow.
himself since he came a half
Yeah, I
hour
know,
late.
exactly.
Right.
When is November's meeting gonna start?
I'm pretty sure that was your idea to do that too.
7:30, right, or 7?
No, 7.
Did I say 7?
You change it to 7.
Well, we can keep it at 7.
A year ago or so, you
I just
changed it.
won't eat, and that one person's gonna go back home with a real bad back and not be able to sleep.
And I think this goes along with the final agenda item as well. The matrix for the businesses. Certainly,
And are we
this
not,
computer's running slow, guys.
so
I'm
if
sorry.
if that's the case, are we gonna talk about the Flatiron and all? I don't, we've talked
We
about
need to say one
One
thing.
thing. Go ahead.
Okay, I've been telling you guys for 2 years.
Oh, I
that
knew you
this
were gonna
is-
do that.
This has not been decided yet, but the only way that anybody else on this town council hears this stuff is if you come to a town council meeting, stand up here and speak. We can talk all we want at EDC, and we can talk to the mayor all we want. He's not the one that's gonna make this decision, it's the town council. And the only time by law that they're allowed to be together is on the first Monday of the month, right here at this table. Okay, you have to come talk to them.
Well, I'm
And
glad
all of
Peter-
these
I'm glad
people
Peter was
that
here
were
to
expressing
hear
doubts
the concerns
have got
of
to
the
come
business
talk to him,
community.
because these people feel that everybody in town wants this.
So, you know, I think we need to, I think there's 2 things we need to come across as, is what we, from, while this is being pulled up, is like, and then we need to do some soul searching between now and February's meeting, as far as what we like for the parking options that are available, and also what we think should happen with. You know, so that way the EDC is on record as we are
Well, we've
for
made
this
our
or against it.
decision
We kind of went through that already.
Right, I mean, right, we've made our decision already, Frank and I are on the committee, so.
Right.
One is
And
the
Mike.
Flatiron Building, and another one is parking.
There are
And
2
that's-
separate issues.
They are.
They are.
They are, and when you mix them up, you just start confusing people.
Yep.
If you are against the Flatiron Building coming down and Park Avenue being closed, please come to the town council meeting and let somebody know it. Peter got an earful here today that he never knew existed.
That's what I
Okay, and
just
he
said.
walked,
I
he
love
walked
that he
out
was
here
here.
saying,
Yep.
I did not know
It
that
was
everybody in
awesome.
this downtown does not want this Flatiron Building.
Yeah.
So you got one more. Come to the meetings and say something. Encourage the businesses, encourage everybody you know, because time is getting short.
Bob, when they voted, we spent $300 and some thousand for a damn study.
Right.
Which was half the cost of what it was gonna take to fix it and leave it sit there like the picture shows. That told me, they're not listening, no different than they listen to us when we.
They're not listening.
But
Well, they're not listening.
You are the
They're
only
not
one
listening.
that's come
Sorry,
and
you know what?
once again,
You know
you
what?
are the only one that's
Why
come and
can't
spoke
we
like that in
do
two
the,
towns.
you
There's
know,
been two.
these motions?
Zach, you never
But
come.
He's the
Frank.
lady, I don't know
I've
who she
sent
was, that was
thousands of
sitting
emails.
like
Did you know we got
behind
300,000?
where Larry's sitting
No, I
down,
didn't.
who said,
Good,
who's
because
saying,
it's a
it
total
doesn't
waste,
matter
and
what
no one
you
else
do
in
to
the
the
council has
municipal
listened
parking lot.
to anyone.
My
Emails,
customers aren't
seeing
gonna
people out
park
on the
there.
street.
It's not the
I think the main concern to them was they didn't want to lose the building.
Can't hear you.
Yes.
Oh.
You're exactly right.
What, no,
Or
listen what
like
you
Larry
say.
said,
I thought the main thought for the council was that was the best value. So they're stuck on that.
Alright guys, here we go,
They're
cause,
stuck on
Frank needs to get home.
That could be.
They're making it in their minds. it's
Because
the best
bullets-
value.
Right.
Bullets,
Right.
Bullets Inc. is closing
Come
at
and
ten
talk.
thirty, and we gotta get her tattoos in.
Okay.
Alright, so, the business, so we are going through this,
It's only 4
questions.
questions. It's
Okay,
very
please.
brief. This
They
is
want
just a
retail.
summary.
Food services, yeah, pressure. I wouldn't think healthcare, cause you know why healthcare wouldn't be good down here? There's not enough parking.
No.
In healthcare.
And we have a huge pavilion
And we're a
now.
huge pavilion, that's right, that's right.
Retail
Retail.
trade, yeah, that's.
You can read the comments.
Yeah, I can see that.
90%.
The comments are the
Nothing
best too.
anymore. It's all gone.
A lot for recreation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 6 out of 54.
But clearly, retail is a big, is what everybody's looking
Right. Yeah, and the problem
Mike, I
down
didn't know
here,
you did music.
you got
Mike's
the insurance
music.
Because
agencies,
people
you
really
got
would
stuff in
prefer
here
to
that's
shop in Mount Airy than have to go to
not
Frederick,
No one put up there, they want to see
Columbia.
the police station be out here out here.
I'm gonna go see my insurance man, that's not gonna draw.
These guys were like saying, like, you know, the police were saying like,
Oh,
what's
let's
too
see.
far from this?
Yeah.
You guys.
Give me
Was
a
that-
copy. Put it on
was
my
that it?
desk.
So let's just throw one thing in there.
No, that's not it.
With,
That was just the
to go
answer
with
to
the
one.
Arts and Recreation, Melissa and Ashley and I are working on trying to get some kind of arts alliance reestablished, music downtown and art downtown.
Yes.
Don't know where we're gonna go with it, but we're working on it.
Others, what's the others? That
Yep.
seems to be a big.
Please specify.
Responses.
That's half of them.
Did anybody say loans? Everyone, obviously they're gonna
Well,
love
tax
grants.
incentives.
Grants, loans, tax incentives, and access to other money.
Zoning assistance? All of
I
them?
know, I'm curious about that one.
Should offer tax incentives and grants. I don't believe the town needs to.
'Cause
offer
we have
funding
our-
rather than the town.
To fill vacant spaces.
Mhm.
And, yeah.
All the above, the rents need to be lowered. And we need to chase unicorns.
Yeah.
We have no control over rent.
Zoning is.
That's a big
I wouldn't be
challenge.
surprised if that was
No,
about
we
mixed
don't,
use.
but,
That's
Yeah,
my
no,
that's my
it's-
question. I wish I knew who said that to inquire to them because we have the IP address. That's it, based on who responded, because you know
That's my only thought,
questions
it's
on
not like they got
zoning.
mixed use.
Well,
yeah. Can you?
To the points that were made up there, retail was the number one, but close behind that, no, it was, shoot.
Entertainment and arts.
Food,
Food.
I'm sorry, food, yeah, okay. I mean, my common sense
They were
side
tied.
of this thing, from what I see in Frederick and other places is, if you bring in food service, restaurants that, nothing against what we got here now, but if you bring in more or better food service than we have, then the retail follows that trade, cause that's what's happened up here in Frederick.
That's true.
From everything I see,
Well,
and the arts come along with it.
Right.
All that balances through as long as you've got that initial draw, and the initial draw is having food that people want. And the more variety you have, all it, and, you know, the nicer restaurants as well, you know, that can bring the families down. They'll stick around long enough to do a little bit of shopping and see and do a little bit of art and recreation. From everything I've observed so far, I could be wrong, but I think that's what works.
But there was one thing that was in front of that.
What?
In 1979, my wife and I moved to Frederick.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this mayor downtown named Ron Young. He kept building these parking garages.
Oh.
And the people were raising hell with him about the cost of these parking garages. And they just built number 7. And that's why they can do anything they want, anytime they want, because they have adequate parking. for
Okay,
everyone.
well, yeah, that would have been my first comment. Otherwise, yes, because if you're gonna draw into restaurants, you're gonna draw into retail, you're gonna draw in the arts, you gotta have places for people to park, no
I mean,
question. That's the first priority.
First thing that anybody comes into my office, can we get enough parking on the site, right? Can we get enough parking, right? I mean, it's just.
Well, and if you look at the history of planning and zoning and the parking that they do around here, you can tell they're not in favor. I mean, go out at PNC Bank, Green Turtle, Subway, they use this crap of, well,
And
they're gonna be
shared
closed, or
parking.
that's bull crap.
Shared
When I built the shopping center, damn, I had to have 452 spaces and they didn't budge a bit.
That's because
No
they knew
problem.
you were gonna put a bunch of old cars up there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we wanna do, but
I
the
used to bring
problem
with old
is-
cars,
I
man,
spent
that'd
all
bring
cars
them in.
and July, they go together.
A lot.
Look at Carter Q. Carter Q fell under that.
Right.
Hell, I ran, I don't know how many cars off there parking, bull crap on their shared parking. But, so they end up striking the deal with Doc Miller. All the employees, it doesn't take brains in planning and zoning to count. Well, how many employees you gonna have, and how many parking spaces? Oh, so you got 2 customers. They're missing the boat on how they're supposed to put their stuff together as far as I'm concerned. Things have changed in the last 30 years.
Very hard to be business friendly, which is
Yeah.
something they've.
On this
they've
screen
not
up
been
here,
accused of that very much.
This is the third
Well,
question.
The reality is,
look at this screen up here.
They're gonna need it, yeah, so they,
Look at parking.
they're trying to be too
Yeah.
damn.
All right,